So today we are looking at cams. There's been a lot of updates since the kind of original release of all of them, and most definitely some beautiful footage going on. We're seeing now into the end game, we're getting a lot of FC26 leaks, and to be honest, it's just making it more and more hard to kind of grind and persist with a lot of these players. But in general, there's quite a few that are still most definitely enjoyable to go with. We're seeing a lot more Evos, which is nice. We saw a big one yesterday in this factor where we got basically the passer's paradise. I think in general, it made most positions pretty viable. So someone like a Neymar in this 91 is most definitely back in the list. And to be fair, I didn't think about him in the sense that why he wasn't getting an upgrade. I know he moved from the Saudi league into a league that's not in FIFA. So it just meant that really the only way now to upgrade him is to most definitely upgrade him in the Evo. But in general, let's kind of go through a few of these players now. There is obviously a few that are still waiting for upgrades. We're obviously waiting for a Cruyff. We're waiting for a Maradona. Obviously, Cruyff went into the Shapeshifter as a 98. I'm hoping that's not the final one, as I don't want him as a left wing. And Maradona, again, got a Shapeshifter as a right wing. I want to see them as a 99 footers. But in general, if we was looking through a lot of these players and thinking, where do they go? We'd start off with somebody like a Bellingham. He's an easy one to go with. When you do look across the board with him, he's got an amazing amount of cards. Like you can kind of just see him from his 98. He's got himself his team of the season, his team of the year. He's got more than enough cards to kind of have a pick of which ones do you want in there. So looking through a lot of them, you also got the 5 playstyle pluses on the... I want to say his is the normal version. I don't know if it was Job or him as in the premium. I don't know if it says it here, but regardless, one of them is in the premium, one of them is not. Obviously, then we can have a look and see we've got 343k on the team of the year. We've got 130 on the team of the season. Now, depending on personally what you would prefer, so in terms of playstyles, I think the team of the season is probably the lowest for the reason I don't want the technical. Power shot I'd probably stay away from if you could, but it's not always viable. Obviously, you've got the incisive, the relentless, and the power shot there. And to be honest, even with the 5 playstyle pluses, it's definitely not the worst. I think quick step is fine, low driven is fine, incisive's good, first touch. I'd have loved a pinged pass or something along the cross the lines rather than the technical, but it is what it is. I'd say you're going to look at the 98 more so than anything. But I would say if you are looking potentially at an Evo for the 97, you got to think you could have another 2 playstyles. So you could get the pinged pass and the quick step, or the first touch and the low driven. It's just whether they line up in time for you. So if I was looking at these, I think you'd definitely go for the 98 in that topper category, and I'd possibly go with the 297s coming just under there. There's arguments that you could possibly put them in the top meta as well, but when I'm thinking of the top of the top, they could even be unusable, to be fair to them. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics, and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Now obviously there's going to be a few team of the seasons that are in here, like Shaqiri. There's quite a few that are going to be in this first category. Even Zidane to some extent, that realistically they're not going to be used. Like they're really not. At this point, Shaqiri, if you're using him, it's a nostalgic use more so than an actual use. So realistically, unfortunately for them, they're now in the category where you're just not going to use them. It's just one of them. Whereas Zidane, as much as I would put him in that same category, 100%. He hasn't had that upgrade yet. He will get he'll get a footies at some point. He has not had anything since Thunderstruck, which is absolutely nuts. Now, the only difference is he did get himself a lot of Evos that you could put him in. Obviously, this 90 did come in as an Evo and you could Evo him that way. So he's kind of had that sort of ability. But now we're getting to the point where he can get an Evo in this 96 and he can get the quadruple on it. The Passer's Paradise, like I said, is a big one in terms of what you can get for the attacking side, as well as then going like this. that really bumps him up pretty nicely. So I would definitely be looking at the 96 more so as an Evo. There's no way that you are playing that 96 without an evolution. It just isn't happening. So naturally, Neymar is obviously going to be the same as well. Like we said, Neymar has now got so many different Evos that you could throw him into because of just being 91 rated at this point. From the 2 crossroads that we could do to the Passer's Paradise, there is a lot of different combinations now that Neymar gets to that 97 rated and is brilliant for it. So that's going to be the best way for him. Obviously, he's going to come in at a max price because of what we're kind of seeing from him, or at least 192,000. It's still very expensive for obviously what we're actually getting here. Then as we go further down, Rickens is obviously not going to be in there anymore. If I'm thinking anybody more, Nkunku I think could be an Evo. I've got to think of players that realistically are not going to get an upgrade, but are good enough that could potentially be in an Evo. You get a finesse on Nkunku, not a bad player. He's got the low driven, he's got the rapid. Technical is what it is, but you get the, say, a finesse shot on a first touch, a finesse shot on a Travella, or whatever. It's going to work pretty well. Incisive if you really have to. Obviously, then we look further down. We've obviously got a few of the kind of lower players like Yashin. Realistically, is only going to work with an Evo. Same as Czech. You're not going to use them as a 94. They have no playstyles. And to be honest, even if you don't now, I'd possibly even miss out on them, to be fair to them. I think even this Hullet at this point is due the upgrade. You can use him, and I don't think he's bad. I've got him as a 94 for the longest time, but now I'm Evoing him. You've got to move on with it. He is definitely up there with the best of them, but Evoing him just puts him and solidifies him even more so. Now, obviously, he will get a 99 at some point. He's not had anything since this upgrade, so naturally, he will end up with more than likely a 99 or a 98. Berezi can go in the bin. I don't really like him at all. Zola is going to be due an upgrade. I feel like he's going to be one of them as well. I'm not a big fan of Zico, to be fair to him. Just kind of like looking a little bit more into the game. I've not been a fan of him. I don't think he's been that good since his release, to be honest. Since he came into the game, I think he could have had a bigger impact. When you think of Brazilian icons, other than maybe Rivaldo's weak foot being atrocious, you have pretty much everybody else being good. Like, the lowest you kind of saw was Socrates was an average Brazilian player. Zico should be up there with the best of them at this point. We should be thinking, okay, well, you got Roberto Carlos, absolutely insane. Carlos Alberto, obviously Lucio if you went for the heroes. Ronaldinho, Pele, R9. Like, there is some of the toppest of talents. Garrincha, he should be up there with the best of them. And to be honest, even in his 91, I wasn't that fussed about him. I just don't think he's as good as what I really wanted to. And it's whether it's the playstyle plus on this one, like this one is awful. Dead ball, technical, incisive. You're missing 2. I don't like technical, and I don't think dead ball's needed. I could score a free kick with anybody, so it's not necessarily a needed one anymore. If they made free kicks harder that you needed a dead ball specialist, fair enough. But they're not doing that. So it is what it is for them. But he's just kind of in that bin territory, if I'm being honest. Now, another one that's going to be an interesting one is Odegaard. If he gets an upgrade, fantastic. This one can be binned. I don't know whether he's getting a footies anymore. I don't know. I just think if there's 5 teams, if there's a little bit more, maybe we've got 5 teams on our season pass. That would take us, we got another couple of weeks. It takes us into August. It takes us into mid to late August. There's still a bit of time. Like, there's another 4 weeks until FC26 comes out. Whether they use that time then for the kind of rundown of FC26 instead, I don't know if that's enough time to give Odegaard a card. So I would say if you're an Odegaard fan, an Evo is going to be needed there, in my opinion. Looking at Kev, and I think you can look at a lot of these players now. Like, we look at what we've got in footies. There's some really high rated, like you look at Pele, he's obviously going to the top. You look at someone like Saka, it's a brilliant upgraded card. Now, there isn't necessarily a crazy amount of top of the top meta cards in the cam roll. I think they are other positions that can come into cam. Like, if you think of a Messi at this point, I've kind of left the other Messi into the right wing side of stuff. But you know, look at a Saka at this point. It's a brilliant upgrade for him. Now, the question would be is, do you put him as a striker instead of a cam? I think for me, you possibly would keep him more as a cam, if anything. But I don't know if I'd quite go him being the card I would seek out 100%. Griezmann would be about the same now at this point. I think he's another card that is unreal. Like, I'd absolutely give him that 99. For me, I think Griezmann really holds that cam role better than Saka, and I think Saka's just better at the wing role. So it is body type, unfortunately, for Saka in this. So I would have to go a little bit more. If I was looking back at the Cruyff and Maradona at this point, if I'm going away from obviously the 98 because he's not able to play in the cam, if I was looking at the cam in this one, I'd possibly say he has to be evoed. I really do. At this point, with a double playstyle plus, you're going to have a little bit more. And same with Maradona. You're going to have an evo. At this point, to get the 4 playstyle pluses, we'll put both of them there. Obviously, Pele is lovely 97. He's going to be up there. He's got the triple playstyle plus at the minimum. Can't be an evo anyway, so it just is what it is with him. The Messi team of the season would definitely be kind of considered very usable when it comes to it, but you need the 99 realistically, and we'll get into them kind of points once we are a little bit closer into the game. Musiala, I think these will definitely kind of go somewhere across this sort of line now. I think we're looking into the 97, 98s being more into the very usable. You're looking at your Brunos, your Rutters that have got that ability now with the quadruple playstyle pluses and slightly better quadruples. Now, Bruno's a great example of this, that he's half and half. Like, he's got the low driven for the shooting outside. He's obviously got the long ball pass, the quick step. And you got to remember, there's one more playstyle plus that you can add to these. So there'd be 5 that we can get in total. We haven't seen any 5 playstyle pluses yet, but I can imagine if they are ramping up the game for a 5-week promo on footies, we are going to be very close there, because they're not going to give it us on the final week unless they want that to be the remainder of the game. You just do an EVOs 24/7. But it's going to be interesting to see where he goes with that. Just put Saka down there because I realise I've got 2 of him. Bruno in his 96, I would go an under. I think he's another one that now would be into more of an Evo, if anything. We then have Mary Earps and Diane. I'd possibly even miss out on them. Even Carvajal at this point, with the players that we've got, they're just not going to be needed, unfortunately. When you look at the footies, obviously Lingard's got to be more to an Evo. He's either an Evo or miss. He's one of them. Talisca would be a bit of an under. Isco, I'm going to give a benefit. Like, I love the card. The quadruple's nice. Is a very bug standard card. He was an easy one to get, which was always nice. Same as Rosicki. Dabino would be about the same. Rutter, I actually really liked. I thought he was such a good cam roll, and it kind of came full circle with obviously his Total Rush SBC. That card was outrageous for a 5/5, and thinking back then, no playstyle pluses was dynamite, and then obviously went into his first Evo, but low driven, incisive, press proven, rapid, great card. Absolutely brilliant from the footies. Then obviously we kind of look at a few like Pateus. At this point, you're going to want better. Like, she is bound to get another upgrade. She's got herself a 98 striker. She's going to get herself another upgraded card. Now, the big question will be is obviously it's Spain versus England in the Euros final. So I can imagine a full team will come out at some point. So if they do manage to beat England in the final, which it's going to be a huge, huge battle for both of them, I can imagine she ends up with a 99 there. Basically like the road to the final. So that will always be interesting. If I was looking at a 97 now, I'd still put her in that category, but you could definitely be due an upgrade soon. Same with Kev, he definitely can get into the upgrade. Endrick, at this point, I'd say possibly is more of an Evo. I wouldn't necessarily go too much higher. Muller, I'd miss out on. Ooh, Palmer. Palmer's always a funny one because I really like him in the cam more so than the right mid. I just don't think he plays a great right mid. Now, you definitely want an Evo on him at some point, but it's not yet. He's got good playstyle pluses. You could do with first touch, rapid. You could go with maybe a pinged pass would be lovely in that quadruple side of stuff. So he's always an interesting one. I think he's kind of just under that top meta. Wirtz would kind of come under nearly into that Evo. I'd definitely say Dybala would be more in the Evo as well. Kaka, we obviously have the 94 rather than his lovely upgrade. You'd go Evo with it, but you'd probably miss out if you've got that other version. But naturally, that 97 is coming in as a right wing striker, so you can't really do anything about them in cam. Then we obviously have Simons, we have Sanchez, Jorginho. Nothing really crazy. Obviously, we then have a few that are quite nice. Simons, you could Evo if you really wanted to. I'd personally miss out. And Laudrup has never been good in the game. He just really has not had such a good run. Like he never gets a good card that anybody wants to use. Gavi, on the other hand, obviously Pedri's coming in as a 97 as well. Don't ask me why Pedri is getting a +1 upgrade in July, but is what it is, I suppose. When it comes to Gavi, though, great stats across the board. We know in the shapeshifter he plays well. He's gone from a centre mid to a cam, so you can definitely get a bit of usability out of him. This was kind of when we got a lot of the centre mids that was coming into kind of that sort of role. We got, obviously, Ollie Watkins dropping down from a striker to cam. Again, whether you'd really want that, like, I think he's going to be more usable more so than anything. And then you finally have got Stoichkov. Now, he's definitely an interesting one. I think with him personally, they really ruined his playstyle pluses. And I know he can play cam, centre mid, CDM. If you are going to give him a defensive playstyle plus, make him a centre mid. Don't make him a cam. Like, that is outrageous. They didn't think about it, because it's not only that they made him a cam, they gave him no defensive ability. They gave him intercept with 78 defending. They clearly made a mistake on that. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, he's got incredible attacking options. You give him a pinged pass, a low driven, a quick step, add 2 running play styles. Brilliant. But to give him an intercept was just atrocious. I really think that damaged this card. He's a good card in terms of himself. His animations have always been fantastic. But I'd rather go for the 91 and Evo him up there rather than go the other way. So it's just one of them that, unfortunately, they really stuffed up on the numbers there for me. And I think they really had a detriment to that card. But this is going to be the list for today. Let me know down below what you agree, disagree. I do think there is only so many cams that I'd go with. Obviously, there are some strikers that you could go there. Like, if an Mbappe could go into a cam role and played him as a free 1 for whatever free. So you've got like cam, and striker. Then, of course, they could play the cam. But as an out-and-out cam, normally on their position, these are kind of what I'm gone for.